Wow, head hurts from all the content and all the sort of true thought leadership. It's been amazing. 6 hours. It feels a lot longer in many ways. Exhausted, but at the same time exhilarated, right? Because of all the concepts we're talking about. I'll do sort of my own personal take. I think a lot of this has really been just, again, drinking from the fire hose from very, very, very smart people and trying to sort of process it. And there'll be a lot of processing later as well. But for me, just like sitting through this, some of the key takeaways I've gotten, just like money's not neutral, right? So all the stuff you're hearing in different perspectives or from other frameworks, you see how much impact liquidity and money and central banks have done from all aspects. And so when David Einhorn was up talking about the signals that companies in certain industries are getting from things like earnings yields and things like that that dictate their strategy, all those things bottom up, roll up, where you create macro things that I'm used to from the PIMCO perspective, looking at the world from a macro perspective, inflation or GDP. But at the end of the day, it's always about people. And companies are made of people, and management teams deciding how to deploy capital or how to create. And so a cement company not investing in a factory because they're not getting a proper sort of incentive from the equity market, rolling up into inflationary pressures because of supply, right? Things like that. Money's not neutral, and what signals are things giving to people to sort of think about? So I certainly took that away. Took the thought of this sort of old school academic approach, fundamental view of discounting cash flows, and how it seems like that is no longer relevant. I'm with these guys in that I think the pendulum will eventually come back. Intrinsic value and fundamentals matter, but because money's not neutral and because signals matter, at different times, different signals matter more, right? And so earnings and discounted cash flows today matter a lot less than the upside of investing in the right companies and sort of the community celebrating gains and losses together, right? And sort of that validation that gives your approach. And so all of those things have to factor, and just seeing, again, different perspectives, right? Talking to people like Reggie and Eric, who I've known for a long time, they've seen the beginning of the ETF world to sort of what's evolved. And this is one narrow scope to view the world, but what sort of frameworks does that show, right? The ETF has democratized a lot of investing. So it's not just brainy, really, really sophisticated people like the Einhorns of the world dictating asset values or investment returns. It's really a lot of other stakeholders who are increasingly having much, much greater impact in aggregate than any one individual. And the ETF has both democratized and provided access, but it also has influence and impacted real world companies, right? And so there's a reflexive property to money. It's not just wealth and it's not just a scoreboard. It actually changes the trajectory and the technology and the sort of actual real life impact to people. And so when a meme stock gets its stock significantly increased and all of a sudden that company has access to capital, guess what? That changes their ability to actually impact their business and impact the world. And so all of these things tying together, it's just really, really fascinating. What did I get out of the asset allocation discussion? One, very, very smart people. Very smart people who have the science of investing down cold, right? But the cool part is it goes beyond science. There's art. It's reading people, right? Michael at Betterment said, hey, look, every asset allocation has to have a couple filters. One, the constraints of what's reasonable to people. Optics, right? That's people, that's art. The other is anchoring priors. And so it's not just a pure quantitative thing. It's truly thinking about existing perception of people and how does this impact the business side and not just the investment return side. And so all of those things are very interesting. Perception making reality. And if you have enough of those sort of frameworks, that shapes our reality. That shapes literally the stock prices of these companies. It shapes everything we touch. What did I get out of, let's see, the meme session was amazing. One, it's sort of like when you're at a really good dinner event and you just have interesting characters, you never know what you're going to get out of it, right? And that's the sort of, the sum is greater than the parts, and that's truly that panel. seeing the generations interacting, seeing, again, a sophisticated hedge fund manager who's used to reading signals and sort of consolidating information to the generational perspectives, and then Lily in between, literally a data scientist thinking quantitatively, but understanding the human side and kind of laughing along, because when you actually think about what drives everything, it is really people, and it's kind of funny, right? And in some respects, you have to laugh because the world is so complicated, but it still distills into such simple stuff. And so that was very fascinating, seeing again that phrase from Carson talking about the frustration of investors ripping up like lotto tickets, right? Investing in these companies, the nihilism of investing as a protest. And again, all of that distills into signals. People expect different things out of the market. That signal, when there's so much social pressure and inequality and just frustration with the opportunity set of our system, that signal is a vote, right? It's a vote. It's saying, I don't care if I lose money because I am pissed, or I don't care if I lose money because this is just a lotto ticket. Who gives a crap, right? And so when that sort of signal comes, I think it's really interesting. And there's so much more to, again, stock prices, asset valuation, so much more that the only thing I sort of think about when you step back is like, just be humble. Just acknowledge what is in the realm of measurable and knowable versus just the humility that there's people and irrational and often rationally irrational reasons why things are the way they are. I'm just, again, very thankful. It's been much more fun being on that end than watching all of these brilliant people talk than it's on this end. But it's fascinating seeing both sides. It's been a true honor as, again, a co-founder and a CEO of this young company, putting on the entrepreneur's hat, while also seeing, again, from the perspective of an asset manager, seeing the world changing and investment returns and sort of the cerebral aspects, all of that. The most rewarding part of this whole thing has been, again, it comes down to people. The people in this room, we're an online company by birth, right? We were born basically on Slack. And so for having the chance to bring a lot of our colleagues together physically in the same spot for us is like the reverse. And so much of life is interesting when you flip things over upside down, right? Again, the Dave Einhorn bottom-up view versus sort of my own macro view. Online native company coming together in person, yet streaming it live to most of the people watching this. It's just been really, really interesting. And so, you know, maybe more than humility, it's just gratefulness at this chance to be part of this. And I want to thank all the sponsors, and I want to thank the audience. It's been such an amazing cause that gave us an excuse to get together. And end of the day, again, it's about relationships, about having a purpose to having a company, of investing, of thinking about the end user and the client. And I'm just thrilled to be here, and thank you so much.